Hello, I'm Jonasz Rewiński and you're watching Break the Fake. They make them, we break them, and tell you everything you need to know. So, we have another case of Donald Trump telling the world to hold his beer, as in, you can't just snatch a dictator like he's a low-level Pokemon. That's Nicolas Maduro, by the way, and Trump replying, hold my beer. This time, quite a few people must have expressed their disbelief about doing regime change in Tehran, and now they're standing there holding Trump's beer while he and Israel methodically go about dismantling the Iranian military. Developing story in a true sense of the word. So for now, let's look at some Iranian propaganda. The Iranian Air Force has released a video claiming that its F-4E Phantom II aircraft are preparing to strike US military bases in the Middle East. It sounds threatening, especially if you don't look too closely. Alright, so what this video tries to do is try and create a menacing impression with the Phantom II, which, to those not familiar with military gear, is about 50 years old. And before someone says, actually, the B-52, no, strategic bombers with constant upgrades to the airframe, that's a different story. Fighter jets age much faster than that, relatively speaking. So there is this venerable aircraft plus some missiles. Now, the main intrigue of the video is whether the plane will take off, which it ultimately does not. The footage shows equipment, personnel, some dramatic music, and serious faces, but it lacks the main element of the Air Force, namely actually being, in the air. Also, for a powerful Air Force, there seems to be a distinct lack of weapons. There is a few missiles, not too many, shown repeatedly from different angles. Perhaps this is a new concept of multiplying power through video editing. If this continues, next time a single plane could be passed off as a squadron, if only the cameraman doesn't lose the dramatic angle. Now, the Iranian video is an example of how visual effects can attempt to replace actual demonstrations of force. For the time being, US and Israeli fighter jets have been zipping around unchallenged across Iranian skies within hours from the onset of epic fury. That is the official operation name, by the way. Someone's been watching way too many 80s action flicks, and I actually respect that. That, my friends, means air superiority, which, first, proves yet again how effective Russian and Chinese air defense systems actually are. Spoiler alert, just as effective as in Caracas, meaning not at all. And second, it also shows that the Iranian bootleg Top Gun we've just seen is likely to remain nothing but pure fantasy. The Iranian factor is often presented in Russian talk shows as a symbol of anti-Western power. For years, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps has been portrayed as a structure capable of responding to any threat at any time. But when the expected response does not occur, cognitive dissonance ensues, meaning that everyone's confused and rather angry. Recently, on Solovyov Live, a remark suddenly rang out that sounded almost like a break from the norm. Why didn't the American ships sink? Where is the vaunted IRGC? Where is Khamenei? Well, honestly, I think we all know where Khamenei is now. So let's focus on the broadcast instead.
То есть они делали все, чтобы не нагнетать. Вот доделались. Почему ни один корабль США не утонул до сих пор, у меня вопрос. У них что, нет нормальных ракет? У них все есть. Боятся эскалации? Ну их убьют, придут сейчас всех. Вот и все. То есть если Пезешкиан озабочен только тем, как себя спрятать, тогда ему нет там места. Ну то, что происходит сейчас, мы видим, где заявления этих людей, Где Ксир хваленый? Где Хаменеи заявления? Нет их всех, все, это страна, которая на глазах рассыпается. Еще раз говорю, я пророссийскую позицию занимаю, я оцениваю перспективу того, что будет. Я хорошо понимаю, какая дальше будет проблема. Для нас, в первую очередь. Меня один вопрос волнует. За нас они когда возьмутся? Или уже взялись? А мы понимаем, что разговор про Иран – это разговор про Россию в том числе. С нами также будут сейчас обходиться, еще более жестко наносить удары по России. Мы к этому еще вернемся, если не сегодня, то в понедельник точно, если доживем.
Actually, this is all kind of funny. Turns out we live in a timeline where Russians are disappointed that the Iranian regime didn't meet their expectations. Wasn't this supposed to be the other way around? As in, Russia, the powerful ally, actually acting as one? Oh no, I guess we forgot all the previous episodes where Russia famously didn't lend its military might to Armenia, the Syrian regime, Venezuela, and Iran the first time it got bombed. This cemented Moscow's position as the LVP of the game, least valuable player. So did anybody expect a different result this time? But wait, they did react with an official statement. Listen to this, a quote from Vladimir Putin about Khamenei's explosive departure from the land of the living. A cynical violation of all norms of human morality and international law. End of quote. Try not to laugh, really. You ravage Ukraine for 4 years, and that's supposed to be okay, but then a fellow dictator gets bonked, and it's international law all of a sudden? It's a case of branching career paths. You select war criminal, you lose the moral outrage active ability. As simple as that. The International Paralympic Committee has decided to allow 6 Russian and 4 Belarusian athletes to participate in the 2026 Winter Paralympic Games under the national flags. Now, during the competitions in Milan and Cortina d'Ampezzo, which will take place between the 6th and the 15th of March, the national anthems of Russia and Belarus may potentially also be played. Now, the slogan "sports outside politics" is traditionally heard in such situations. However, the history of major international competitions has repeatedly shown that it is almost impossible to completely separate sport from geopolitics. This is especially true when it comes to countries at the center of a large-scale military conflict. The Paralympic Games, a symbol of strength of spirit and overcoming adversity, this time risk becoming an arena for symbolic competition and confrontation. Croatia, the Czech Republic, Finland, Latvia, Estonia, Poland, the Netherlands and Canada have announced a boycott of the opening ceremony of the 2026 Paralympics. Why? As a sign of solidarity with Ukraine and to protest against aggressor countries being allowed to compete under their own flags. Now, did everyone forget the problem with Russia? You know, the war? And with Moscow still doing the things it usually does, blowing up dams, racking up war crimes, and plunging cities into blackouts amidst freezing temperatures, we're supposed to believe it's okay to welcome Russian and Belarusian athletes with open arms, play the national anthem, and do some cheerful flag waving? Sorry, but this is a textbook example of terrible timing. But I guess being tone deaf is part of the job description for all those sports associations nowadays. I mean, wear a helmet to honor fallen comrades, get kicked out. Represent the aggressor state, well, no harm done. Never thought hypocrisy was an actual Olympic sport. When was it added in? Like, recently? And with this, we conclude this edition of Break the Fake. Please stay with us here on TVP World for more latest news, updates and commentary.